Шановні пані і панове,
Dear ladies and gentlemen, our next briefing is about presentation of initiative on establishment Civil Coordination Center for Informational Security. We'll talk about this to Dmytro Zolotukhin, media expert on informational security. Thank you. Dear colleagues, I am Dmytro Zolotukhin. I am an expert on information security and information wars. I'll talk to you in Russian because I want the messages that I will voice reach the Russian-speaking audience as well. You will understand this later. During the last several months, I think you have more than once heard about information wars, and the topic is still developing. There's quite a lot of experts and so-called experts talking about this. However, there have been quite a lot of actions by state bodies in technical respect as far as television is concerned, including a lot of actions of volunteer groups that are working in social media and along different channels of delivering information. But the problem is that as of today, we are opposed by a rather systematized and hierarchical structure of mass media who are enemies of Ukraine and who are organizing the information field and are tuning it against us. And in this respect, you understand that it is rather hard for us to reach the result we need. As you understand, for instance, in Maidan, and those people who are still now in Maidan and who were protecting Maidan were it was hard for them to juxtapose Berkut, but we will still win, and I'll try to tell you how. Our problem at the moment is that we are in a defensive position all the time. But if we talk about real combat action, then the offense should have forces that are bigger several times, and that several times bigger than defense. But as far as hybrid and information wars are concerned, we are in the context that is being imposed on us from outside. You understand very well that journalists and mass media should cover the facts that are more often emitted by the channels that are inimical to Ukraine and Ukrainian society. So in this respect, we should most time be in the defensive position. We have to formulate counter arguments, and in order to reach the understanding of the fact that the insanity that is being emitted by the foreign information channels does not have any relation to reality. And we should also say that pro-Ukrainian mass media find themselves in a trap where they willingly or unwillingly use the terminology and some symbols that are already carrying some information charge, like Donetsk and Luhansk People's Republic, Novorossiya, New Russia, everything that's being created and transmitted by Russian channels. And we should be systemic as well and understand that we won't be able to do anything until we adjust our information space in a systemic way as well, so that we coordinate the maximum number of volunteer and state-organized activities. You probably know that today the Parliament has the draft law on the principles of information security in Ukraine, and one of the main messages there is that there should be a central body created in Ukraine that will look into information security. This will be a state organization at the level of National Commission that will possess some competence and authority for what's happening in the information space. This is a very correct decision. It shall be realized, but as you understand, the legislative initiatives have some need for some requirements as far as the time scale is concerned, and the administrative actions that the state bodies shall perform to create and launch this body also require time, which we do not have at the moment. And if we do not concentrate now on regaining the control over our information space, this endangers us with the deepening of the conflict. So I would like to present to you the initiative of the establishing Civil Coordination Center for Informational Security, which is the initiative to create some prototype, some testing ground for concentration, for accumulating volunteer movements, some initiatives by state bodies in order to create some system and counter our enemy with it and its actions. In this context, I'll name you a number of key directions that we have developed in order to launch the activities of this structure, which in fact will become the foundation for the strategy in this sphere.
So we have focused our attention at four main directions of our work as the main spheres for this structure in order to gain control, to regain control in the information sphere. So the first sphere is to focus attention on the population of Eastern Ukraine. Now, these people are in a very tough situation. They try to find balance between those ideas which come from Ukraine and Russia, and when we will reclaim control over the territory and all the settlements, we will need to understand that those people, they are citizens of Ukraine, irrespectively where they live, either in Ukraine or they moved to Russia during military events. And we should be able to provide a message for what future they may expect in Ukraine. And we need to take care about these people in informational respect, so to say. The second important sphere of our attention is Ukrainian society at large. I believe that today it is one of the main objects of influence from the side of our enemy. During recent months, we have developed rather thick skin to oppose the informational influence from Russian Federation. But nevertheless, this influence coming from Russia and from its allies, they still initiate some situations which are jeopardizing our information security and Ukrainian image. For example, they described several, so to say, stories about Ukrainian people who are bad, so to say, displaced persons. Also, the third focus of our attention should be on our Western partners. Of course, heads of the member states of the European Union and other Western countries, they are thinking about third stage of sanctions, and they should understand that someday they may become a victim, just like the population of Ukraine. For example, Russia can initiate some actions based on the Russian population in Baltic countries. The same is true about Kazakhstan, Belarus, etc. Thus, the same approach as Russia took in Ukraine may be used for destabilization of situation in other countries and in other regions. And the fourth sphere of our work is to activate our communication for those Russian residents who preserve neutral position as to Ukraine. We should not take all the Russians as our enemies. The disinformation produced by Russian authorities, it is aimed at the split between two nations, and 2 days ago there was an action and event expressing condolences to the relatives of victims of the event in Moscow Metro. So these were four major spheres of our attention on the framework of the Civil Coordination Center, and we expect that we will be able to involve not only volunteers but also governmental bodies, and that our initiative will become a basis for establishing the governmental body preoccupied with informational security. Thank you, Dmitry. I believe that informational security is extremely important today, not less important than in the front line. Valery Volkov. How do you think whether it is necessary to establish broadcasting from Ukrainian national TV company for Russian territory? My idea is to create a positive image of Ukraine for Russian audience. As far as I know, the National Council on TV and broadcasting, they're now actively working on the establishment of such a company. Another issue that this would require special technical solutions and careful consideration what we want to broadcast to Russia. And another issue is that most probably such broadcasting might be blocked somehow by Russian government, and first we should think about the ideas, the ideas and messages which we want to communicate, and then we need to think about technical methods how to communicate the messages. Do you think the stage of readiness of this center, of your center? We have been coordinating several volunteer groups involved to the information security sphere, and we cooperate very closely with the National Security and Defense Council, and we communicate with the National TV and Broadcasting Committee, etc. As far as I know, in the National Security and Defense Council, there is a special department on national security. The same is true for the Ministry of Interior. I believe that the state bodies should play a key role in information security, but my experience proves that in some situations there appears to be a huge deficit in experts on information security. And it seems to me that today's efforts of the governmental bodies are insufficient in terms of reclaiming control in the information security sphere. That's why I believe that non-governmental organizations like our center should deal primarily with uniting efforts of volunteers and attracting resources which the government obviously lacks. I believe that the journalists who are present at today's briefing, they will spread this information very widely. This is the topic of extreme importance. We will follow up your success. Thank you very much.